And we are live. At least I hope we're live. I'll make it 3 minutes past 9. It's a Monday evening. I'm just going to have a little look on the stream to make sure that we are up and running. Just bear with me for 2 ticks. Don't want to get started only to find out we're not recording. So bear with me for just 1 moment. If you're in the chat and this is going out live, could you just drop me a quick message? Let me know that we are up and running. Won't be a second. It's looking good. It's looking good. The wallpaper's looking on point tonight, and it looks like we are live. Mikey says yes, it's live. So, good evening to everyone. Good evening to Matt, Peter, Mikey, Tom, Alex, Ruben, another Tom, to Jet. And thanks to everyone for joining. I hope it's going to be a good show. Do you know what? I got a bottle today. I got given a bottle. Let me show it to you. It's a half bottle, and it's of, well, I've heard it called by 3 separate names. I've heard Glen Morangi, I've heard Glen Morangi, and I've heard Glen Morangi. So I don't know what to call it. I'm going to go with Glen Morangi, even though you know, it's probably the wrong pronunciation. Speaking of wrong pronunciations, I got a death threat from an ardent Christoph. Well, I said Glowacki. I presume his name isn't Glowacki because that was what the death threat related to, was my pronunciation of his surname. But yeah, apologies to all of the Glowacki fans who I offended due to the mispronunciation, and probably who I will continue to offend because I'm still calling him Glowacki because I don't know how to pronounce it. Perhaps rather than calling me the C word, you could educate me on how to pronounce it, so I won't make the same mistakes going forward. But anyway, I poured myself a nice, what I can only describe as a treble whiskey. And the reason for that will be very, very obvious to people who tune in to the channel last time, because based on some of the shows we've done recently, I may well need a bit of a kick up the arse of the alcoholic variety halfway through the show. So we'll cross that bridge as and when we come to it. I'm sure there's a few people hoping we do come to it. I am, of course, talking about the now cult figure that is John Smith on the YouTube channel. But before we get there, I wanted to give a few call-outs to people, a few shout-outs to people. First and foremost, I want to give a shout-out to my good friend Ultratech Sports. Ultratech Sports, as you guys know, is someone I've been doing videos with and speaking to on and offline for over a year now. His channel recently turned a year old, and we did about an hour, maybe an hour and a half worth of recording that's available exclusively on the Ultratech Sports channel. So if you need a bit more of a boxing fix, do check that out, Ultratech Sports. I believe the first half an hour of that already is up, and I believe that's on his channel already. So check him out, hit the subscribe button on his channel if you want to see that video, if you need a bit more boxing fix, if you don't get enough of me from watching the live show. And yeah, as I say, I think there's at least 1 more video of us, maybe 2, who, you know, will be calling in to join. Second one I wanted to give a shout out to was Jet and the Boxing Discussions channel. Jet, as you guys know, if you're familiar with this, is a big supporter of the Boxing Gossip live show. He calls in with very well educated calls, you know, and he adds a lot of value to the live show. So really appreciate Jet's continued involvement. He's got his own YouTube channel as well, the Boxing Discussions channel. So I'd recommend checking out those 2. And finally, I wanted to give a quick call out to a new YouTube channel, which is the Dave Champion channel. It's one you probably won't have heard of just yet because the channel has literally just started. But Dave is a very good guy, very knowledgeable. We disagree on a lot of things, but he's a a good guy about it, and he makes coherent arguments and makes sense. So, yeah, if you want more boxing, Ultratech Sports, boxing discussions, and Dave Champion, I'd recommend you looking at those 3 channels, hitting them up. Of course, there are, you know, loads of YouTube channels. I'm a big fan of Box Talk, big fan of Wingy, the Boxing Voice, Day Lorick, you know, the list goes on. But you guys already know about those channels most likely. If you're watching me, you've most likely already found them. So there we are. There we are. And the final person I want to give a shout out to is actually myself. I think I need a big pat on the back because this week I scored 4 out of 4 in my predictions. And do you know what? Not a single person noted that I got 4 out of 4 in my predictions. Not that I expect you to. I'm only kidding. But if I got 0 out of 4 or 2 out of 4, I'd be sure to get called out on it and told I know nothing. So I think seeing as I got 4 out of 4, I'm going to give myself some credit for that, whether you like it or not. So anyway, there we are. Now, in terms of what I'm keen to discuss tonight, I want to have a bit of a rant at the screen for 15 minutes or so. There's a few things that I wanted to cover in the boxing world that we haven't actually discussed so far on the channel. So there were 4 main fights this week I wanted to talk about. Errol Spence versus Chris Algieri, Christoph Glowacki, pronounced incorrectly, versus Steve Cunningham, Jose Pedraza versus Stephen Smith, and Warrington versus Amagasa. Now, I've done a evening to everyone who's joining in, by the way. I'm seeing you in the chat, so thanks for joining in. We've got John Smith in the chat as well. Good evening, John. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so those are the 4 that I was keen to discuss through. Now, I've already done a video of Warrington versus Amagasa. That's already up on my channel. So if you want to look at the Warrington Amagasa video, please check that one out. I'm not going to go over that in too much detail now. I'm just going to concentrate on the other 3 fights and give some quick post-fight thoughts on the 3. After that, I'm going to upload the Skype, get Skype up and running. People can call in and we can discuss whatever we want. If people don't call in Skype, I'll go to the chat. So, yeah, there we are. But first fight I wanted to talk about briefly was Errol Spence versus Chris Algieri, actually. And I'll try and rattle through this because I know people probably don't want to hear me listen to a rant, but I haven't done post-fight videos on Errol Algieri, Glowacki, Cunningham, and Pedraza Smith. And I think they're really important fights because, you know, even though this week there was the lack of a major world-class fight, you know, in the sense of a Floyd Mayweather or Tyson Fury, one of the big names. There were some really huge performances, I thought, from lesser-known fighters, so I wanted to cover them. And the first thing to say is Errol Spence was mighty impressive. You know, I haven't seen anyone do what he did to Algieri. You know, Pacquiao didn't do that to Algieri. Amir Khan didn't do that to Algieri. I mean, I rate Amir Khan, but let's be honest, Algieri gave him hell and almost beat him. Spence looked absolutely quality. And one of the things you guys know I look for in a fighter is how well-rounded they are. His body punching, superb. His long-range game, solid. His inside game, world level already. You know, he's doing this thing. We put one hand on Algieri and hit him with the other hand. You know, it was, you know, top class stuff. His inside game and game inside the pocket was world level. The way he was controlling and, you know, pushing Algieri around the ring, the way he was cutting down the ring as well, and the power he was hitting with. You know, real great performance from Errol Spence. I was really taken with him. And Algieri, you know, he's not in the top 5 of the welterweight division. I had him about top 15. But the manner of this win, for me, the performance over Algieri and the manner of the win, for me, puts Errol Spence into the top tier of the welterweight conversation. I have him about 7th or 8th, but based on the eye test, he has the potential to go a hell of a lot higher. You know, real impressive. And he's going to be a tough man to beat. He ticks the eye test in every sense of the word. And the rumours are Errol Spence versus Kell Brook. I mean, Kell Brook's a lot bigger and stronger than Algieri. Let's not forget, Algieri was at 140 relatively recently. Kell Brook punches a hell of a lot harder than Algieri. And Kell Brook can be more effective at closing someone down on the inside. We saw how he did that to Porter. Um, Kell is a much tougher fight, but it's a hard fight. That it's a real clash of styles. Kell is a guy who likes straight punches from long range. Kell is a guy who very much the sort of outside boxer. Whereas Kell doesn't have the body punching or the inside game of a Spence. That's what Spence brings to the table. And both guys hit very hard. Both guys are very athletic. And that's a real tough fight to call. You could maybe make Kell a slight favourite based on world level experience and world level form, but I see that as a real tough fight. I'd struggle to pick a winner in that fight right now. So credit to Errol Spence, world class performance. He's announced himself in the elite of the welterweight division, and I was very taken by his performance indeed. Another performance I was extremely taken by was Jose Pedraza versus Stephen Smith. I thought Pedraza showed that he was levels above Smith, and don't get me wrong, Smith performed with immense credit. I thought Smith did absolutely brilliantly. I thought the first thing to mention is Stephen Smith's got to look at his weight class, because he was very small compared to Pedraza in there, but apparently he struggled to make the weight. So, for me, he's going to be very small if he has to go up to lightweight. But there you go. And I was so impressed by Pedraza. I can see why he's nicknamed the sniper, because his long range skills were superb. His head movement, his lead cross, his jab, it was like a telescopic jab. It would sort of extend out of nowhere, and huge accuracy. I thought Pedraza's timing was absolutely superb. And while Stephen Smith deserves credit for showing immense heart, great chin, and some good fundamentals in there, what I will say about Stephen Smith is you got the impression that every round Pedraza was really trying to win, he won. It's not to say that he was intensely giving up rounds, but there were times he took time off in the fight and Smith came on strong and Smith was able to catch him. But when Pedraza really seemed to be focused and, looking to land and looking to take the win, Pedraza was pretty superb. And, I thought he was really smart. We saw him outboxing Stephen Smith, in my opinion, with the jab, with the cross, with the straight pumps. I thought Pedraza was very solid from the outside and also was so good on the inside. He was slippery on the inside as well. He had good inside defensive skills. And it's quite rare you see someone with inside defensive skills, but he was getting low. He was ducking under punches. He was shortening up his punches and timing to perfection. So he'd sort of catch Stephen Smith with a 1-2 from the outside, step into range, work the body. And then as Smith was sort of escaping from the pocket, he'd kind of duck down on that strange angle, come up with a hook. I thought it was a real impressive performance from Pedraza. There's a lot of talent in and around that weight class between featherweight and lightweight. And, Pedraza, for me, really caught my eye. He looked world class, and he deserves to go into the mix. His timing, his accuracy, his well-roundedness. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, elite level fighters. This week in Errol Spence's performance and in Pedraza's performance, these guys were so well-rounded. I really like them both, and these are both guys I would be very excited to see fight again. Pedraza and Errol, you could say they were facing sub-elite level competition, but they were facing the top of the second tier of competition. And both of them passed the eye test with absolute flying colours. And you know me, I'm not someone who's purely impressed by being a hard puncher. I'm more impressed by skills. And both of these guys showed real skills and real variety. Inside, outside, movement, accuracy, timing, defence, offensive skills. I really rated it. Right, the last fight I wanted to touch on briefly was Cunningham versus Glowacki. Very good win from Glowacki. He highlighted he was the #1 cruiserweight now, with wins over Cunningham and wins over Huck. Dropping Cunningham 4 times. We know how strong and tough Cunningham is. That was a superb performance. It really was. I was very impressed with the manner of which he did. And I also think some credit needs to go to Glowacki for his boxing capability. Cunningham's seen as the mover, the jabber, the vet boxer. But Glowacki was timing him well. Glowacki was giving him problems, I thought, with the boxing from the southpaw stance. And Glowacki did very good and showed real power, dropping him over and over again. The key thing for me with Glowacki is he does seem defensively open. Clearly, he's a tough guy. Clearly, he's got very good chin. But Cunningham was landing some absolute haymakers on him, and at that point the fight was lost. And Cunningham's obviously not the biggest puncher in the world, but you got to say, if a fight is that defensively open and that hittable, it does raise some concerns if they're going to be facing the absolute elite level of cruiserweight. If I look at a fighter like Gregory Drozd, he's such a skilled boxer. You wonder if someone with that sort of boxing capability could maybe give Glowacki some problems based on Glowacki's willingness to seem to trade and maybe abandon his defenses. It's a real interesting one for me. But Glowacki certainly was #1 in the cruiserweight division and put on quite a show. So yeah, I think 3 performances all at world-class level: Errol, Spence, Pedraza and Glowacki. People are probably not going to be singing their praises like they were with Anthony Joshua last week, or like they'll be with Golovkin next week, because they're not the names the casual fan knows about. But I think for us guys, people here, I guess we're the hardcore section, if you like, and I'm looking forward to seeing all 3 of those guys fight again. Real interesting guys and real interesting styles. Anyway, look, we've got about 35 people watching. So if you're one of the 35, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Help me spread this to a wider audience. Help me get some new callers involved, new people involved, and build this out. If you're new to the channel as well, please hit subscribe on a mission to try and get the channel up to 2,000 subscribers before long. So that would certainly help me out, and make sure you get notified of all future shows like this. The other thing, follow me on Twitter at boxing.gossip. Haven't made much of an effort to market my Twitter, so I should do really. Add me at boxing.gossip and I will follow you back. But there we are. So I've ranted for long enough. I wanted to do that on this one because I've wanted to do that for on this one because I hadn't had the time to do videos on Errol, Spence, Glowacki and Pedraza. But there you go, covered them all on this one. So I'm keen to open up the Skype lines, see who calls in, and we'll go from there. If you would like to call in or add me on Skype, it's simply boxing.gossip. Couldn't be easier. So you can add me in that fashion, and we'll go from there. And I'm keen to discuss all of these fights that we've discussed today, as well as anything else that anyone else wants to discuss. In the meantime, we'll go into the chat. Skype is now up and running and available if anyone does want to call in. So we shall see. Please don't call in if you are a troll using a fake name. Real names only. In the meantime, we'll go into the chat. So just having a look at what's being said in the chat. I haven't kept up with it, I'm afraid. There were just quite a few messages, and I wanted to make sure I got all of that fight discussion out of the way first. But a lot of people in the chat seems to be talking about all of the Anthony Joshua potential opponents, and Eddie Hearn says that he's going to look to announce that very, very soon. So that's potentially another thing we can discuss tonight. I'm just seeing a message here. Louis asking me to discuss the Triple G fight. I'm going to discuss the Triple G fight later on in the week, actually, because I haven't had time to look into Dominic Wade as much as I should have done. So I want to watch a few more of his fights before I discuss that, and I'll be sure to make a video. So do stay tuned to check it in. But a lot of people seem to be talking about who Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting next. I'll throw my hat into the ring. The one I think is going to be is Bermane Stiverne. He says, Escobete says, "Oh, am I wearing my Under Armour?" I'm not wearing Under Armour tonight. No logo. But yeah, I think Stiverne is the most likely. He's got that former world title challenger thing about him. Stiverne seems very keen and up for the fight. He looked poor last time out, and I think that most of the things with Stiverne is that he's got an excellent chin, and credit to him for that chin. He showed great heart, great chin, a world-class chin, and actually when he went the distance with Deontay Wilder, and he took some monstrous shots in that fight. So I guess that will be an idea is to give Joshua a round. Stavern carries a bit of power. As I say, he's a former champion. You can certainly sell the fight. My concern with Stavern is, was Stavern at his best? That was his first title defense when he fought Wilder. Now he's blown up in weight massively. He's been inactive. He looked absolutely terrible against Derek Rossi. So you got to ask yourself, what is the condition of Bermain Stavern? Is he in a position at present for a big world-class fight? That's my question. But there we are. I've got Tom calling in. Tom, how you doing?
Good evening, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Coming through loud and clear. How's life?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Good weekend of boxing.
Absolutely, yeah. I really enjoyed it, actually. I thought there was some underrated fights on the card, yeah.
Did you watch the Stuart Hall fight?
Do you know what? I didn't actually watch it. No, I was out on Saturday night and I just got back in time for Warrington. But what did you make of that one?
It was a good scrap, to be fair. The judging was absolutely diabolical again. I actually had to fight one up for Guerrero at the end of it. I don't know where the judges were plucked from that night. They were a disgrace all night. It gave a good show to Stuart Hall, to be fair, though. He was disciplined, well organised. It was quite a good scrap, to be honest. Yeah.
I think the main thing I heard about it was the judging, actually. Will he go on to fight the guy's name, Lee Haskins?
Lee Haskins. Yeah, I think that there's not many fights down there for British fighters. I think that's where there's obviously Jamie McDonnell, but it's a class above. I think that's where we'll be going next. But it was a good scrap, to be fair. The kid showed heart, the typical Mexican who he was against. It turned into a good fight. It's just the judging, mate. Honestly, I've never seen anything like it. It was worse than the Paul Smith-Abraham first fight. Can you remember that?
Yeah. I scored that to Smith just about, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd recommend watching it again. It was a decent dust-up.
I've got it on the Skybox, actually. So I should definitely check it out. I got stuck with family commitments this weekend, so I've had to be watching Errol, Spence, and Stephen Smith Pedraza after the event, actually. But
I actually missed the Spence fight. I need to catch up on that.
Yeah. It's only 5 rounds, so it won't take you too long. But he looks like a real beast. I'd absolutely love it if he fought Kell Brook. That's a hard one.
He's calling him out, isn't he? That's where he's looking for next.
Yeah, he's the mandatory, and the IBF do enforce their mandatories, as we know, having watched Bizier and Jojo Dan and all of that stuff.
Who do you think will win the purse bids for that?
Well, the way because of the because Kell Brook gets is it a 70% split of it or an 80% split of it? It's going to be very, very hard for Spence to win the purse bids because they're going to have to bid a huge amount of money just to go to Kell Brook rather than their own man. So I'd be inclined he'd have to come over to the UK, actually. The difficulty is for Eddie Hearn is I don't think Kell Brook versus Errol Spence is a pay-per-view fight. I don't think it's a pay-per-view fight at all. What was that, mate?
It's not. I said Errol Spence, apart from the hardcore, is not very well known to the casual fan, is he?
Not at all. And he looks fantastic, but his best win is over Chris Algieri. That's not a pay-per-view fight, and I just don't know whether, I don't know whether that's an attractive fight for Eddie Hearn and Kell Brook to take, for small money.
High risk, low reward, it seems, doesn't it?
Yeah, he'll certainly get massive credit for the victory, but only amongst the hardcore. It probably won't turn him into a pay-per-view. Part of me makes me think about when Jeff Lacey came over to fight Calzaghe. He had that sort of total invincibility thing. But if Kell goes and knocks him out now, people will probably say he's just a hype job. That's the So
what did you make to the Josh Warrington fight? I see you scored it. Was it 117, 111?
No, I had it wider. I had it 118, 110. I thought Warrington was very, very dominant in the fight. I thought the Sky commentators were poor. I thought they gave Amagassa far too much credit. Amagassa he showed a lot of heart, a lot of toughness, but he's pretty basic in there, wasn't he? Warrington looked the superior guy.
I couldn't believe what I was watching the first 2 rounds. I've never seen 5'10", I was saying to my mates, he's got to get behind that jab. 5'10", Warrington might struggle to get inside here. I couldn't believe what I was watching. He had no idea how to jab at all. It was quite surreal to watch, really.
It's terrible. He had absolutely no jab, did he? He had no jab at all. And you'd think that would be the basic fundamental for a fighter of that size.
I actually scored it 116, 112. I scored it. I don't know how much the Sky commentators were influencing that because, unfortunately, I had the volume up. But I thought Warrington did well getting on the inside. I thought, do you know what? Josh Warrington, I thought his jab was quite impressive, that fight.
Yeah.
He was scoring quite a few shots early on with it. I don't know why he become quite withdrawn in the mid-rounds, and that's when I gave Amagasa the rounds in the middle of the fight. And just with Josh Warrington, I don't see why he's having to rush into the Selby fight. I don't know if Eddie Hearn's pushing him into that, but to me, he's 25. He's got a massive, massive fan base. He's going to take thousands wherever he goes. I don't see why Eddie Hearn doesn't put a couple of people in front of him, get a couple of knockouts, because that's one thing he is desperate for. He's desperate to put a knockout in front of his fans. Gaining confidence. Even the Gavin McDonald fight, maybe bringing him up a weight. I don't know what you think about that. I think that could sell.
From a business perspective, I would keep Warrington away from everyone, because the truth is Warrington is progressing nicely. He's actually improved massively in the last year.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And he's selling out arenas. You know, he's selling out 10, 12,000 tickets. The guy probably isn't earning huge money. I wouldn't gamble that. I would, from a pure business perspective, I'd keep doing what they're doing, keep them improving. The one
he's
who
25 as well, there's no rush.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the one who I think should want to fight is Selby, because it's probably the biggest fight out there for Selby at present. Because Selby won't sell to a crowd like that without Warrington. So, yeah, it's certainly not a pay-per-view fight. Certainly not.
I mean, I just don't see why they don't. I mean, you could put Warrington on chief undercard on down in the London show, and he's going to sell you 2,000-3,000 tickets without a doubt. It's just got that pull in leads. I don't understand the rush. I mean, I'd like to see him going with some guys who can box on the outside quite a bit, because I'm not sure I would come up against a guy with a decent jab, a guy who could keep some distance between him and Warrington. So I think that's a part of his game he needs to improve on, because if I were Selby, that's what I'd be looking at to beat him.
Yeah, Selby will box his ears off from the outside. I'd quite like to see Warrington versus Eric Hunter, actually. But I don't know if Hunter might be a bit slick, and they probably won't want to gamble it. It's probably too big a risk, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But I do agree with what you're saying. He's progressing nicely, and I honestly had him down as a British level fighter. I thought he would never make it to Selby, but he keeps on improving.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I was quite critical of Josh Warrington when he started out. I thought he was very one-dimensional, no jab, no defense.
Just a ticket seller.
Yeah, I thought he was very basic, and I must say he's impressed me. He's done far better than I expected. I still don't think he's got like the sort of elite level boxing skill, but he's doing well. You know, as you say, he just out jabbed the 5'10" guy, didn't he?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Finally, mate, just talk about Pedraza Smith fight.
Yeah.
The big thing for me, I mean, I've heard you mention it a few times. It's one thing I totally agree with, and the difference to me in that whole fight was lateral. Well, apart from the jab, was lateral movement coming inside. I mean, it's Joe Gallagher's fighters again. There's no lateral movement whatsoever, and it shows on the world level. You need it, especially against a guy who's got such an accurate jab. Yeah,
he was dominant from range. Actually, he was in and out of range. He was completely controlling it, and Smith was looking basic. You know, you're right. You're bang on. Lateral movement and head movement. Head movement. There was no head movement at all. Very upright.
I mean, he was bruising quite early on in the rounds. I mean, he was just picking him off. It's something that obviously it's becoming quite well known now. It's a criticism of Joe Gallagher fighters. Surely they must be picking up on it now, you would have thought.
Yeah. And someone pointed out in the comments the other day, like Scott Cardle has a huge amount of head movement, and that's fair enough. But the majority of them don't. And I'll tell you who's really going to get found out with it one day is Callum Smith, because if he goes in against a George Groves or a James DeGale, as upright and as tall as he is with no head movement, he's in big trouble.
Well, at 6'2", or is he 6'2"? There's a lot to hit there as well. He'll definitely reap the whirlwind on that one.
definitely. I thought, when we're on the subject, I actually thought Gallagher's corner work was very poor again. You know, in the first round, he told him just keep doing what you're doing. At the end of the third round, he said Smith won the third round when Pedraza clearly won the round. You know, I think he's too easy on the guys in the corner. You know, like what he was doing with Scott Quick. If you're 3 rounds to 0 down in someone else's home territory against the world champion, you've got to be panicking. You've got to be telling your fighter to roll the dice.
Time to turn it up. Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. Well, it was his tactics that cost the Frampton fight. But, yeah, I totally agree, mate. I think the fight is becoming one-dimensional. It seems to be saying it time and time again. They're coming on the inside and they're just getting picked off, especially by elite fighters, which I think Pedraza was. I was really impressed with him. That jab was terrific. They're just getting found out. And I felt quite sorry for Smith because he did show a lot of heart, but ultimately got found out. Absolutely,
yeah. You're spot on. He performed with immense credit, but he just didn't have the class. He didn't have the tactics. He didn't have the class. And fundamentally, in hindsight, he never had any chance, really, did he? Because he didn't have the skill set or the game plan. And you need one or the other.
What do you think to the potential lineups for Joshua?
I'm thinking Stavern. I am thinking Stavern. I think Stavern being ex-world champion, having a bit of power, and most importantly, having the chin is key. I think the fact that I know Stavern's up for it, and the fact he went 12 with Wilder, you know, hopefully, I mean, that's what AJ needs, is if he can go 12 rounds just fighting with his boxing, it's going to be such a good experience for him.
Right, mate, I'll let you get off anyway. Let the other trolls get in. All
right, Tom. Cheers, mate. Have a good evening.
No
Cheers.
See you later,
Cheers.
mate.
And Tom brings up a very good point, actually, which I had meant to go into, but forgot to go into, which was Joe Gallagher. What is Joe Gallagher doing in the corner? I mean, he told Smith he'd won the third round. It was a clear Pedraza round on my card, at least. You know, at the end of the first round, you know, again, he's just not. He's just not giving him the right instructions. And as I say, if you're going to someone else's backyard, if you're 3 rounds to 0 down on the card against the world champion, you've got to be absolutely panicking. You've got to be bringing out, you know, all sorts of different plan A's, plan B's, plan C's. You know, you don't bring out your plan A, you bring out your plan B, I should say. But you know, for me, Gallagher, one thing is to criticise how his fighters seem to have no lateral movement, be upright, no head movement. You know, that's fine. But for me, the bigger issue is just not having the urgency in the corner. I mean, if he told Scott Quigg to, you know, put the pressure on, obviously going awry after the first 2 or 3 rounds, that fight could have been so different. And, you know, it's the same. And I worry for Joe Gallagher and his stable, actually. I think Anthony Croller, because I met Croller and he's one of the nicest guys, I think he's due for a loss next time out, unfortunately. I think Scott Cardle is teetering on the verge of taking a big loss. Stephen Smith's just taken a big loss. I'm not 100% sure. You know, Callum Smith is the big future of that stable. I'm not 100%, you know, Callum's impressed me massively lately, but I'm not 100% sure he's ready for George Groves or Badu Jack. So, yeah, Gallagher's got to, he's got to raise his game. Anyway, we've got 40 people watching live, so thanks very much if you're one of the 40 who's tuning in. If you are, please do hit the like button, thumbs up, help me broadcast this to a wider audience. And if you're not already, do subscribe to the channel. But regardless, if you're one of the 40 watching live, do feel free to add me on Skype. My Skype is just boxing.gossip, nice and easy. If you've called in before, do feel free to call in again, and we'll get you straight away on live, presuming that you're not a troll. Steady State says, "What's up, BG? Evening." Dan says the critics love the Gale in the US. Peter says Gallagher is just stuck in his way, I think. Dave Champion said he never liked Quigg. Mikey says Coyle would probably beat Cardle. To be honest, he probably would. We've got Jet calling in. Jet, good evening.
Good Good evening, buddy. You alright?
Yeah, very good, mate. How are you getting on?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good. Just made it back in time for the show from work, so all good. All is well. Just I was waiting to call in. Tom called in, so it was good to get a new caller on.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. And I think caller numbers are going to be massively down this week because obviously last week we had 5 or 6 calls from an individual who sort of remained nameless. But yeah, there we go. But at least it will make more entertaining viewing, not having to listen to the same questions asked over and over again with a dial-up internet connection.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Let's go, sir.
The shout out of it as well. I checked out Dave Champion as well. His work's pretty good, so pretty tidy. So it's good that everyone gets together. I think YouTubers should do more of this as well. Like, give each other some support. Other people obviously have more support than others, starting early and building their own niche fan base. So it's good. It's good what you do. I appreciate one that I saluted to.
Oh, I appreciate that, mate. No, thank you very much. To be honest, I always think it's better to do it more sociably and to have a bit of back and forth. I'm thinking of a few different ideas on that front, actually. One of them is I quite like the idea of a sort of, I don't know, weekly podcast or something with a few people on like I know you mentioned it before, but like a Google Hangouts type thing, and having like some sort of regular people. The other one I liked is kind of having like a sort of weekly debate and putting up something on social media and getting, I don't know, Tyson Fury fan versus an Anthony Joshua fan, like having the back and forth. And I think it would just be good to get more people involved in that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree definitely. Actually, Alex just put don't stay too long waiting on the man, the myth, the legend, Dale John, or some know him as Ian.
Some know him as Miles, Alex, if you watch far enough back. Edward, Miles, we have at least 5 known pseudonyms. I've blocked all 5 of them. However, I did have a ad just recently from a Joe Allen. So, Joe Allen, if you are watching and you're a real person, my humble apologies, but I'm suspicious of you at this particular point. Yeah, there we go.
He might be Liverpool's finest centre midfielder. So you never know. Leave him be.
There we are, mate. There we are. Yeah, but
let's crack on with the boxing. I'm pretty sure no one wants to hear us go back and forth about this. But Errol Spence. You're talking about Errol Spence.
Yes.
Spence looked fantastic. I have to agree. Body punching from range. I was always actually impressed with his inside game. For someone who is quite not big for the weight, but he looks quite rangy. Can use his jab well and that sort of stuff. I always thought he had an elite inside game, and he kind of proved it against a pretty decent opponent in Algeria. I think loads of people wrote Algeria off. I for one, actually thought it was going to go to points. I didn't think Spence had that sort of power to stop him. So I'm very impressed with Errol Spence. I thought he was fantastic. Kell Brook fight, potentially, yeah. I mean, that's a tough fight for both men, not just for one. But definitely better than an Adrian Broner fight for Kell Brook or a Lamont Peterson fight. What's your thoughts on that?
Mate, I've been struggling with that one all day, actually. I've watched a few different YouTube people do videos on that. Do you know what? I can't make up my mind. I think it's one of the most interesting stylistic matches you're going to see. You've got Kell Brook, who's the long-range outside boxing specialist. You've got Errol Spence, who's the body puncher. Kell Brook doesn't punch too much to the body, for my money. Errol Spence has a much better inside game, but I think Kell Brook has to go into it as a very slight favourite, like 55-45, for 2 reasons, really. Number one, the strength of his form. I know we give him stick over Jojo, Dan and Bizier, but, the win over Porter was very impressive and much better than anything Spence has ever shown. And second thing is, let's not forget, Sean Porter was looking like Mike Tyson. At that time, he was even more hyped than Errol Spence is now. And he was the sort of inside fighter, the sort of, guy who's going to rough Kell up. And Kell completely negated his game and was able to shut him down on the inside. So it wouldn't amaze me if the same thing happened again. What about yourself?
Oddly enough, I'd actually agree, but I'd say Kell Brook. The thing is, I've never seen Spence go late in a fight. I know he went 8 rounds, I think, with Van Heerden, but Van Heerden was, target practice for most of it. He busted his face up, I know. So I don't know how Spence's stamina and gas tank would be, but I'd actually go Brook to stop him late. I think Brook is that good, but I would not sleep on Errol Spence. I think Errol Spence has the power to stop the fight anytime. Looks like he has big time power. He has really, really good boxing skills from range and inside. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if Spence wins it. It's a very much for me. It's a 50-50 fight.
Really is. To be honest, I'm skeptical that it will happen. I'm not sure the money will be there, but I would absolutely love it if it did happen.
Yeah, definitely. Really good fight. I know he's supposedly IDF mandatory now, so let's see how long. Probably another year or so he'd have to wait out, but potentially I could see Eddie Hearn getting him a unification or 2, if not move up to 154, because I know some of the 154 champions are supposedly struggling at the weight. Jamil Charlo, who's facing Austin Trout, I think next, he seems to be struggling at the weight, so that's a potential title there. WBC titles by the other Charlo and John Jackson, so that's a potential route there as well. Demetrius Andrade is fighting soon as well. Eris Landy Lara versus Varnes Martirosian is also a good fight as well. So Kell Brook's got a lot of options at 154. He'd have to travel, but he does have some options due to some people struggling at their weight and the titles becoming vacant. So I could see him not ducking him, but I could see Eddie moving him up swiftly. But it'd be a really good fight if it turns out to, it'd be really, really good if that fight occurs. Glowacki, I hope that's how you pronounce it. But he's really good. I did mention in the chat, I don't think you saw it because we were talking earlier, but
okay.
Alexander Usyk is his mandatory.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's his mandatory. And Usyk was supposed to face Stephen Simmons of Scotland. You remember him?
Yeah.
Apparently someone said in the chat, I did hear the fight was off a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that's right.
It rescheduled, so I don't know what's happening with that.
No, it's not being rescheduled.
I haven't heard anything, but someone's put it in the chat, so I'm not sure. I think it was Mikey put it in the chat.
Yeah. The state of play there, just for anyone, is Usyk pulled out with an injury, and I don't believe they want to reschedule it because he thinks, obviously, with his next shot being, I knew his next fight was a world championship. I didn't realise it was against Glowacki, but apparently they just don't want to risk it, so they're going to go straight into the world title fight.
What do you think on that fight? I mean, you say Glowacki's number 1. I disagree slightly, but...
okay, who would you have? Drozd?
I'd actually go with Lebedev, even though he's quite old.
Lebedev?
Yeah, Lebedev. I think, to be fair, I've been slightly biased. He's my favourite fighter. If I had to take any sort of favoritism or anything, I'd probably go with Grigory Drozd. I'd go with him. And then Lebedev too, just on experience that, he's been around longer and he's won a fair few fights. He got robbed for me against Huck. That's just my opinion on that. But I go with Lebedev first. Zod, I know he's injured at the moment, so he's obviously vacated the title. And Makubu and Belly are fighting for that, and he'll fight the winner. But I mean, Usyk versus Glowacki would be a really, really good fight. What do you make of that fight? I know you rate Usyk, as we spoke about in the past before. Yeah.
I rate both guys. I mean, Glowacki is probably known as the he's probably known to the to the average fan as a brawler. Looking at him, and he does brawl. I can't deny it. But looking at him, the guy can box a bit. He was causing Cunningham some problems boxing wise from a southpaw stance. Yeah. My concern with Glowacki is it's just he's very, very defensively open. Very, very defensively. I mean, some of the absolute haymakers Cunningham was landing on him. It was a bit scary. Now, Cunningham, best part of 40 years old, coming down from heavyweight. You just wonder if he's landing punches like that. How could someone as on it as you know, Usyk with that sort of boxing pedigree, Olympic pedigree, what could he do? And I think it's not impossible that a truly elite boxer, you know, could do a number on Cunningham. On Glowacki. So, you know, I'd make that a 50-50 fight. At this stage, I find it hard to call a winner. Glowacki clearly more proven in the pros. But if there was anyone to beat him, it would be an Usyk or a Droz. You know, it would be someone with that sort of technical boxing game for me. What about yourself?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Usyk's, you know, world class. I actually watched him. I think in 2012 he won an Olympic gold medal.
Yeah,
and really looked fantastic to me. I don't really watch the amateurs. I see like the you know, the talented prospects that will come out of the amateurs and come to the pro game, and they talk about them obviously on Sky and various boxing forums, etc. So yeah, I watched that, but I actually watched him in the Olympics. Obviously, it was in London, and he looked mind blowing. He was really, really good. I think I don't think he's a concussive one punch knockout artist. He carries, you know, moderate power. I think, you know, he probably, if he was going to stop Glowacki, it'd probably be like a barrage of punches. It wouldn't be one punch knockout or anything. But I'd be inclined to go Usyk points. Unanimous. That'd be a really, really good fight. A really good fight. You know, clash of styles. It would be decent.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the winner of that fight, cruiserweights don't tend to get much credit, but I think the winner of Usyk Glowacki would actually have a claim to being on the lower side of a top 10 pound for pound.
Yeah, I know, I agree. There's loads of fighters that's happened a lot over the years. I mean, if anything, the cruiserweight division in terms of top 15, I'd say, is mind blowing. The depth that there is in the cruiserweight division is amazing. I mean, okay, look, Makubu is probably top 15 and he's fighting for a world title and he's been a contender for up until now. He beat Machudu.
Yes.
Makubu. Yeah, he's another probably top 15, top 20.
Yeah.
You know, really, really solid in comparison to the other weight classes. Really, really solid. It's a shame that they don't actually get the credit and the airtime that they deserve, because as we saw in the Glowacki fight, fantastic fight, probably fight of the year, one of at least. And it's a shame that they don't actually get more airtime with promotional issues and that sort of stuff. It happens, but it's, you know, it shouldn't be when you have such exciting fight in the division. But I guess that same happens at super featherweight as well, though. Sorry.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it happens a lot because they're all, you know, they're all on. All based in Asia, like Uchiyama, Miura. They're all based in Asia. Fortuna's a Dominican. He holds a WBA regular. You know, Pedraza is obviously Puerto Rican, but he's based in America. So they're all foreigners taking. You know, it's quite a tough sell to, especially us UK and US fans. What's your opinion on that? Before we talk about Smith Pedraza.
Yeah, I think that is hard, isn't it? What, in terms of selling these guys into the UK market?
Yeah. I agree.
It's tough. I think just people, especially with the lower weight classes, you know, people either buy into a personality or a style, you know, or seeing a match. I think people are excited towards the heavyweights because they're so big and stuff. I think it's just hard with the casual, with it being dominated by Sky Sports over here. It's hard. I mean, it's interesting. Like a fighter like Zolani Teti has built up quite a big following quickly, though, hasn't he?
Yeah. Zolani Teti is, don't get me wrong, fantastic. Like, but as he's South African and based in the UK, it's something that the UK fans actually haven't become accustomed to, and I think they appreciate it a lot more, especially with his skill set and talent. So for me, it's very, very interesting. Zolani Tete, he says he can still make Superfly quite comfortably. So it's really interesting. I know Naoya Inoue is actually a super flyweight, so that would be a fantastic fight if he was to fight him. Pound for pound, that the winner would probably be, you know, top top 7, 8 pound for pound for me. There's a, but at bantamweight there's a lot of other fights. Super bantamweight there's a lot of fights as well. So for me there's a lot of potential opponents there. Him versus James McDonald will be a really, really good fight. Fantastic fight. I would pay a lot of money to see that one. But that's it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. I think it works out, one way or another. And in the UK, sometimes we take to fighters a bit more than in the States, possibly. I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, in terms of that mix for me, and I'm not as well versed with these guys as you are, but Pedraza, I'd certainly watch him again. Against whoever he was in with. That was a stunning performance in many ways from my perspective. Yeah,
I agree. I've always thought Smith, for me, was put down the wrong path. For me, he's not a super featherweight first.
Yeah.
I think he's a featherweight. He moved up straight after he lost to Lee Selby because he was a massive favourite in the fight. Everyone expected Smith to either bomb him out or demolish him on points.
Yeah.
Selby actually brutally KO'd him, which was a shock in itself because Selby doesn't actually hit hard one, and he beat him because he was a great underdog, and he moved up to super feather from that. And obviously he's been fed journeyman and cans and whatever you want to call it, and he's been knocking people out. So he's been made to look like a dominant, one punch knockout artist at 130, which he's not. And for me at super featherweight, the weakest champion is Rocky Martinez.
Yeah.
And he could have always gone down that path. I know, look, people probably might slate me in the chat and whatever, but if you're a Brit, most of the time you support the Brits, no matter how good or bad they are. You always have this, affiliation with them. But Stephen Smith, he's decent, but I always thought his team should have been smarter. Eddie Hearn should have been much better and sent it down the WBO route, and it was a much more winnable fight. The blueprint was there how to beat Rocky when he came over to Scotland and lost to Ricky Burns, and that was an easier fight for him to win, and he could have won a world title there, and it would have been a legitimate world title as well because Rocky has been around for a while. He's obviously come off a few hard fights with Orlando Salido, and it could have been a good sell as well. Obviously, I think Rocky Martinez is actually facing Lomachenko in June for his super featherweight title. So obviously that's out of the plans now. But what do you think? Do you think, obviously with Joe Gallagher and that sort of stuff, but what do you think? Do you think it was actually a winnable fight going into it, or do you think he should have gone down a different route? In
hindsight, I just don't think he had the skill. I thought Pedraza was just that 10% better in so many different areas. I don't think it was a winnable fight. I think given the state of the super featherweight division, there probably wasn't the massive domestic classes available to him. It was worth it. It's worth rolling the dice to try and get that world level fight and, to try and win a world title. But having now seen the fight, I just don't think he had the skill set and the capability to go and beat him. Never looked like hurting him, never looked like outboxing him, never looked like wearing him down. And I don't think Joe Gallagher really helped, to be honest. So there you are. I got a question in the chat from Mikey, mate, I wanted to ask you, which was, could Pedraza beat Selby? My opinion is definitely, based on the way Selby struggled against Slicksters the last 2 times. But what about yourself, Jet?
Yeah, I'm giving Pedraza a really good chance. The thing is, Pedraza, I think we got caught up in the Ed Cherry fight. If I may say so myself, a lot of us YouTubers, I would say even I got caught up. I think Smith would give him a much harder night's work. And he won the vacant title against Andrei Klimov, and he looked really good in that performance. Really good, spectacular in that performance. And I think we should have based it on both the fights, not just the Ed Cherry fight. And for me, he would do different things to Selby that would really put Selby off his rhythm. He wouldn't like it when it's getting a bit tough. And I'd even say he has decent power to possibly, at least put him down, Selby. Because Selby has, shown he gets hit a bit too often. for me, even though, it's boxing, we all know we're going to get hit at one point or another. But for someone as slick as Selby, he gets hit, a fair bit too much. And Pedraza will pick up on those holes, and I think he would win it by points most likely. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
If that fight ever does occur, but no, it's a good fight. I mean, problem is, will it actually happen? Selby, we know, is quite big at 126 anyway, but will it happen? We don't know. And would he go down that route, or would he go down a tougher route, or an easier route? We don't know that. Selby always said he's willing to fight everyone, so I don't know. For me, he beats Warrington pretty handily, but Warrington done well on the weekend, but I know you made it. We were tweeting each other. You put it 10-2. I had it about 8-4. But do you think he'll progress from this, Warrington, or he'll go for the Selby fight next?
Do you know what? I must say, I was really, really impressed by his performance. I really was. Not because I thought it was a world-class performance, but because he has genuinely improved. And I've got to be credit to him. He's done better than I thought he would do. I guess my concern with Warrington is he going to deal with that? Like Tom was saying earlier, is he going to deal with that mover, long-range jabber type at world level? I just don't think he is. It doesn't surprise me if that Selby fight doesn't happen, because I don't think Warrington needs to fight. At present, he's developing nicely. He's selling out arenas. What's the point in risking it to take a big loss? I mean, he could leave it another year, get 3 or 4 more nice paydays, develop a bit more. And for Selby, that fight is not exactly a pay-per-view fight, is it? And it's not a competitive fight either. I mean, I know people would like the fight based on how how it's been built up and stuff, but is there anyone out here on YouTube who would actually pick Warrington to win? For me, it doesn't excite me, because I think it's such an easy win for Selby.
Yeah, I totally agree. Some people, Callum and Rothmas, are actually talking about Gary Russell Jr., who destroyed Patrick Hyland in 2 rounds the other day. But Selby, how do you think Selby would fare with Russell Jr.? Russell Jr. looked immense. His punching power and hand speed looked, top notch on Sunday morning over here in the UK. What do you reckon of? What do you make of Gary Russell Jr.?
I didn't actually watch that fight, but I should make the effort to, especially if it's only 2 rounds, because it won't take me too long. Obviously, I've seen him in the past. He looks, very, very good. I must say, he looks real, amazing speed. There's got to be some of the fastest hands out there. A bit of an athlete in the ring. Real skilled fighter. There's a lot to like in Gary Russell Jr., I must say. My only concern is, didn't he got totally sort of outskilled by Lomachenko, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it's interesting, because I think the way to beat Gary Russell Jr., shown in that Lomachenko fight, you'd think, would Selby have similar successes? At the same time, the way to beat Lee Selby, shown in the Eric Hunter fight, you'd think, wouldn't Gary Russell Jr. have similar effectiveness there? So, yeah, I mean, I would actually make that a real 50-50. Possibly I'd go with Selby, actually. But to be honest, I'd really need to watch more of both guys before making a decision there. But would you have a lean on that? Yeah.
It's a tough fight. I mean, for me, the one area that Russell can actually improve on is his foot movement. He reminds me a bit of Adrian Broner.
Yeah.
Where really he has blistering hand speed, but his foot speed is a bit lacking, in my opinion. But he does move his feet slightly better than Broner, but it does remind me somewhat of him. But I think he can definitely, with his hand speed, he can trouble Selby. Selby, as I said, does get hit a fair few often for my liking, and I can see him being very awkward, relying a lot on reflexes and tagging Selby continuously. But as I said, Selby has that sort of style that he will move a lot and come in at different angles, be awkward as well, and you could potentially catch Russell coming in a lot. So it's a real toss-up 50-50, a real 50-50 fight, and I wouldn't actually like to pick a winner at this point in time. But when the time comes, if it does come, then yeah, definitely I would definitely have to pick one or another. But I'd like to stay on the fence on that one.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Yeah, it's a lot of big fights out there in those divisions at present now. I've got to hope that some of them get made, though. Yeah,
definitely. It's a good division. I mean, from, I'd say, 126, possibly through, as you said, featherweight to lightweight is probably, there's a lot of fights. I mean, Felix Verdeta, everyone's been talking about him. Actually, I think he fought on the weekend. My cousin Taryn told me he didn't look so good. A lot of people say he didn't look great. So he's there. I know they're talking about him a lot. He could face Pedraza next, actually. They're both from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
They could both face each other. That would be a good fight. As I said, all the Asians there, Uchawa, Mura, Francisco Vargas, the Mexicans there. So, featherweight, Lomachenko, Gary Russell, Lee Selby, Santa Cruz, Oscar Valdez as well. Oscar Valdez looked really good the other week.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to fighters to like at the division, but it's unfortunate, as we said before, that these people don't actually get the airtime that they need and potentially deserve, because they're very, very skilled fighters, just as skilled as super middleweights or light heavyweights, but they're not given that sort of airtime and appreciation.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's some work to do in terms of converting the public to the lighter weight classes, but yeah, hopefully with the likes of Rigondo and Tete, I know Rigo never came over, but hopefully with those guys coming over and Frampton Quigg on pay-per-view and maybe Selby Warrington being a big fight, hopefully it's going to start to convert people, mate. But yeah, Jet, have you got anything else, mate? Are you done?
No. If you need to go, then by all means, let someone else call in. Maybe John Smith.
Mate, we shall see. Yeah, I will catch up with you very, very soon, though. I hope, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll tweet you. We could do like a collab maybe next week or the week after, something like that.
Yeah. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Just let me know when you're free, and we'll get something organised. Definitely.
Yeah, wicked, mate.
Cheers, Jet. All the best, mate. Thank you. Cheers. Bye now. Thanks as always to Jet for calling in. And again, if you're new to the channel, Jet's channel is Boxing Discussion. So make sure you hit him up on that. I've looked at a few of his videos this week actually, and it is some very, very good stuff. He knows his lighter weight classes a lot better than I do anyway. So sometimes I'm trying to catch up with the knowledge there. But yeah, check out Jet's channel definitely. Alex has been causing mayhem in the chat. Shout out to Alex. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, we actually had at one point over 60 people live. So yeah, we're doing. We're spreading the word a bit more, which is good. And the lines are now free. So if anyone else wants to call in, add me on Skype, boxing.gossip. Or if you're already on the Skype list and not blocked for past misdiscretions, then yeah, give us a call and we'll get you on board. Thanks a lot, Jet. Appreciate it, mate. You are the #1 caller on the live show by a mile at present. Mikey, Tom, do you think Spence could beat Furman right now? 100%, Mikey. 100%. You look at how Furman struggled with Collazo. You look at how how Furman really sort of went to pieces when the pressure was put on him and when he was hit to the body. Given that, I think Spence has the perfect style to beat Furman. Paula says, hi, Gossip. We got Ryan calling in. Ryan, how you doing?
Hello, brother.
How are you getting on?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ryan. Can you hear me?
Not great, mate. Can you speak up, please?
Hello.
I'm doing fantastic. How about you, brother?
Brother, I'm very good, brother.
Yeah, I'm good too, brother. What are you doing, brother?
I'm doing a live broadcast.
I'm sorry? Okay, that's great. Yeah. So what did you think about the fights on the weekend, mate? I'm doing a live broadcast.
Oh dear, dear, dear. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Do you know what? I can't make up my mind if I can't make up my mind if he is actually a troll or somebody with health issues. And I don't want to be you know. Anyway, moving in. Paula. I heard Paula was saying she felt sorry for me listening to the Ultratech Sports video because he was tearing into my analysis. Don't worry about that, Paula. Me and Ultratech have a lot of good chats. So he gives some good banter, and yeah, he'll get it off me from time to time. I just don't know what to do. He's replaced Sir with Brother. I don't know if anyone noticed that. Let's go, Brother. We got Dave calling in, and I know Dave is a real person. Dave, good to speak to you.
Hello, Tom. How are you doing?
Very, very good. Very, very good. How are you getting on?
Good, good. Calling from sunny Canada today.
I'm jealous.
7 degrees over here.
I am.
Our cars are as big as your flats.
Mate, your car's probably a lot bigger than my flat, I tell you that much. But I should just introduce Dave. I speak to Dave a fair bit via Facebook. Dave is the man behind the Dave Champion channel. So do check out Dave's channel as well.
Thanks for the shout out, Tom. I appreciate it a lot. Now, I think my comment here, I think I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but after I watched that Errol Spence fight, all I could think is that maybe in a couple of years, just judging by his style, I think maybe this is the guy to give Golovkin a good fight in a couple of years.
Wow.
If he could move up. Because, I mean, if you see that knockout punch, that reminded me of like Joe Louis knocking out Braddock cold years ago, how he faked him out totally. He took the whole brunt to the right hand there. He was done. Like,
yeah.
I just think the way he sets it up, he could be the man to do it.
It's interesting. I think the difficulty. I think Golovkin is already 35 or 36 years old. So with that in mind, I just don't know how quickly Errol Spence will move up. Because if Errol Spence takes, he's not massive at 147. So I think it could be quite a few years before he gets up to the middleweight weight class. And I imagine Golovkin will be been and gone by then. But it's an interesting fight, yeah.
He may have to, because with Mayweather and Pacquiao gone, there's not going to be that much money in the welterweight class after a while.
Yeah. Oh, the guys in the chat are saying that I'm wrong. They're saying Golovkin's a bit younger than that, either 33 or 34. So maybe.
Well, like I was at the Golovkin versus Lemieux fight, and it was like a man against a boy in there. Especially live, you can really hear the sound of the shots landing.
Right.
So I think that Canelo is not gonna do much better than Lemieux did, even though I mean Canelo's a better fighter, but I just don't see Canelo having much more for Golovkin. Sorry.
Absolutely. I don't think Canelo's going to have the beating of Golovkin at all. Canelo, he's quite a likable fighter, but he typically. I know he's got underrated boxing skill, but he does come forward. He is going to have it out with you, and I just think Golovkin's going to have too much for him there.
The thing I find with Canelo is that he's all short punches. Like a guy like Spence, he has a lot of power, but his hook is very long in a way that allows him to land from that 3/4 range instead of like Canelo needs to be right on the inside, and Golovkin will just tie him up on the inside.
Yeah. I mean, Spence for me was really impressive. You know, I came off that. I'd never been truly convinced by Errol Spence, but I must say, after that fight, he's really made his arrival on the world scene. I still think, you know, I know what you're saying, that with Mayweather gone, with Pacquiao gone, there's limited money in the division, but you know, I still think there's big fights. Maybe Amir Khan, maybe Kell Brook, maybe even Adrian Broner, maybe even Tim Bradley. You know, that maybe even Terence Crawford. You know, there's still big fights out there for him. Or Danny Garcia, Furman Porter. You know, so I reckon he's going to want to stay at 147 because he's not a monster at the weight.
I think I have a feeling that if Khan does well, or I mean, if he doesn't get embarrassed here against Canelo, that he's going to stay at middleweight, just because I feel like he doesn't match up well against some of those other guys. Like Garcia's a guy that I rank really highly. He knocked out Khan a while back, didn't he?
Yes, he knocked out Khan.
Yeah, I just feel that I don't think Garcia's big enough to go up.
Yeah, well, I think Khan is too small for middleweight, I must say. I could see him at light middleweight maybe, but if you look at the photos of him, he just looks like he's had to put on a lot of fat to get up to the right weight for me.
He does look pretty bulky right now. I've seen those photos too.
Yeah, I'm really worried for him actually, because I think his best bet was to use speed. I mean, he's never going to outstrength Canelo, so his best bet was to use speed and stuff. But he's kind of going to struggle with that given the weight he's put on, I imagine.
I'm finding a little bit of disappointment now. So I think maybe this might be one of those situations where Khan is just taking the money here, and he's not really in it to give him a proper challenge. I may be proved wrong, but I think I get heavy into analysis sometimes, and it just and then sometimes I watch the fight, and it's a totally different story. They're like just for the money. Yeah.
I mean, I think with Khan, in a sense, it's a sensible fight to take because it's massive money. And if he wins, he becomes a superstar overnight. And if he loses, it's not like a bad loss to take, is it?
And the real middleweight champion, of course.
What, the lineal middleweight champion?
Yes, yeah. That's correct.
There we are.
I feel like this might be one of these situations. Like back in January, I drove all the way out to Montreal and went to that Kovalev Pascal too. Because I thought Pascal would give him a try, right? But it was just poor.
Yeah, I think sometimes the guys want it until they feel the power.
And, I don't know. They weren't really showing it on TV, but a lot of people were booing and throwing beer cans and stuff like that when I was down there. It was it looked pretty bad from the stands anyway.
Really?
Sometimes I like watching the fights live because sometimes the announcers can sway your opinion a lot.
Yeah.
So I find when you're live there, you can just watch it, analyze what happened.
Absolutely.
It was absolutely poor outing by Pascal there. Well, anyway, I'll let you go.
Dave.
I just want to say, let's go, sir. Let's go, sir. I'm just glad to be a part of the Let's Go, Sir movement.
Absolutely.
And, hope you stay safe over there. You never know with these kind of guys.
Yeah, the door is double locked. Let's put it that way, Dave.
Well, Tom, I started my channel, about 4 days ago, and I already have a hater.
I remember you saying this earlier. I'm going to have to check it out to see who the hater is, because it's probably someone I know.
Well, he's just on there, like, his name's Tim Nick.
Oh, yeah. Tim isn't the biggest fan of me either. I quite like him.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was meaning. He was hating on a lot of stuff.
He's upset. He's a very, very anti Tyson Fury, and I know you're not hugely pro Tyson Fury, but at least you kind of discuss it slightly more sensibly than.
Well, you know what? I love Tyson Fury's persona and that stuff. Like, I actually love him and Briggs. Like, I eat that stuff up, but I just don't see it in the ring. He never passed the eye test for me. I don't think he ever will.
Fair enough. Yeah. It's you have to. I mean, there's going to be huge fights out there for him. So hopefully he can still prove it.
Yeah, hopefully he can get past Klitschko again, and then we can sort of put this issue to rest once and for all.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that will be still a tough fight. But yeah, one I'm very much looking forward to. But Dave, yeah, thanks very much for calling in, mate. It's good to finally speak to you.
All right, yeah, good to talk to you too, Tom.
Catch you soon, Dave.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Catch you soon. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks very much to Dave. And Dave, as I say, runs the Dave Champion YouTube channel. So do check him out. Do check him out. Another one to add to the list. There's some good chat about the man of many names. Peter, you did miss him, I'm afraid. You did. He phoned up under another guys who I have actually just blocked. So that makes now 6 different personalities that I have blocked. And the frustrating thing about this other caller, the one I've just blocked now, Ryan, is he'd actually called in once before. I mean, one day I must actually take the time to go back and listen to one of the live shows I did earlier on, because now I've cottoned onto it. He's probably rung in 4 or 5 times, so it's very odd. And Peter, no, he didn't say sir. He changed it to brother tonight, which was his big tactic. He's probably thinking about that all week. Jet says, I ever hated Dave, gave me much abuse on my BG collab, all part and parcel. Darren says, is there a rematch clause in Fury's next fight? No, there's not. Paula said, I'm not sure what that is, Paula. Ruben says, BG, did you see Fury's Twitter post? He looks bulky and muscular. Could he have been packing on muscle behind the scenes? Fury's not one of those guys I'd want to be muscular, because he, for me, he's more movement focused than power focused, and that works well for him. I did see the photo you mean. I was wondering if it was an old photo, because to me he looks quite, I must say, he looks slightly out of it when I look at him, just in his tracksuit. BC says, you haven't arrived unless you have haters. Very true. Callum says, oh, I don't know what that is. Dave said, just having a glass of maple syrup with Bubbles and Randy right now. Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Let's have a look. Who else is in the chat? Alex says, Ryan was from the hood this week. Yes, brother. Paula said, it's hilarious. Dave says, if they're not talking about you, that's when you're in trouble. Ruffmus agrees. Jet says, a podcast would be very good, and he'd be keen. Keep up the analysis. Yeah, I'm considering doing like a weekly podcast with like weekly recurring guests, and trying to do it on a Google Hangout. What I'm trying to work out is, would it be best to do a podcast and a live show, or have callers calling into the podcast? Just trying to work out what the best way would be. Gaz says, if you want to wind up Tim Nick, tell him that Wilder is useless. Yeah, you're right. I've had a few back and forth with him over that. Peter Kearns said, did you end up Oh, Peter Kearns. Yeah, sorry, I was confused, Peter, for a second, because I know you via a different name, but not in a sort of John Smith type way. So yes, I did. Very funny. Ruben is having a go at Dave for not liking Tyson Fury. Callum's betting his entire life savings on Povetkin by a KO. I might join you there, Callum. Paula says there's a gap in the market now. The Boxing Voice is US only. Yeah, there's some good UK podcasts. Boxing Coalition's good. But yeah, I mean, potentially I could throw my hat into the ring. Dave says he thinks Wilder is slimy, fixed matches and the like. Alex says he will call in as Father John next week and call you son. Mikey would definitely call into the podcast. Tom isn't a fan of Tim Nick either. I mean, I think Tim Nick's all right. He just doesn't agree with me strongly. Ross says, Gossip sees you as the brother he never had. I think you need to reach out of him because he needs a friend. He needs a friend, but yeah. Alex says, oh no, guys. Oh, guys. Hello.
Hello there.
Oh, it's not you again, is it?
I'm sorry, kid.
It's not you. Oh, kid. I love it. You've actually got quite a good sense of humour. It's not you again, is it?
I'm a bit confused as to what you mean.
It's not you calling in again for the second time, is it?
No, mate. No, I'm new to your channel, bro.
Do you know what? I'll give you a bit of time if you can admit that it's John Smith, but I don't want to disrespect myself by having the same conversation again, kid. So it's up to you.
Hey, listen here. What are you talking about? I've never called you before, mate. Can you? What are you saying?
Oh my God, this is a new
I
low.
just wanted. Listen here, kid. I just wanted to get your opinion on the boxing.
I don't. I mean, I don't know what to. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. You could always.
Errol Spence, mate. Errol Spence, that knockout.
Yeah. I'm not going to give you the time, Dale. I'm not, because I respect my own time too much. So unless you can have a proper chat, we're going to call
it. Mate. You just called me under another name.
No, I'm not going to wait there. I'm going to call it there. So there we go. There we go. Dale or John or Ian or Miles or Ryan or Alan. Oh God, I just I don't know what to do with him. The problem is, like, I can't really necessarily completely block him because he can just add me under a new guise. So it's difficult. So I could stop accepting. What I might have to do is stop accepting people on Skype. You know, maybe I'll stop accepting people on Skype. Peter, are you sure it isn't a mate of yours winding you up? I'm totally sure, Peter, because I know who the actual John Smith is. I've had the actual John Smith on Skype for some time. This is the very odd thing about the situation. Is this guy who's using all these fake names? I've actually had multiple conversations with him under his real name, but you know, very, very odd, very, very odd. So what should I do? I'm guessing what I'm going to have to do is only accept people on Skype if they send me a message, or, you know, only accept people on Skype if they send me a message via Facebook and have some sort of Facebook profile, because, you know, it's pretty funny, but at the same time, like, there's a limit to how much time I want to spend talking to this guy. So there you go. So we've had John Smith return under two new names tonight. He decided to change it up by calling me brother and change it up by calling me kid, which is interesting. Alex says he can stop it now. It's a waste of time. It was funny only because Tom got mega pissed off with him last time. Dave Champion says maybe it's a YouTube rivalry thing, trying to sabotage the second greatest channel in the world. I'll tell you what, if John Smith set up his own channel, I'd certainly subscribe to him. You know, the elite boxing insight he provides is second to none. Tom says make him a regular. Maybe we could get him on the podcast, actually. You know, he could be like a sort of special addition to the podcast. But yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one because, as I say, like, the guy, you know, it's frustrating, but at the same time, my inclination is never to absolutely go in on someone because he's probably not very well. So yeah, I think what I'm going to have to do is just not accept new people on Skype. You know, and maybe if, like, people on Facebook or Twitter who I've been discussing boxing with for some time send me a message, I'll add them on Skype. But there you go. Louis says make him do all the talking. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, Louis, is he calls in, you have 30 seconds of his terrible internet connection dialing up and not being able to hear a single word of what you were saying. And then he's got nothing to say anyway. So Gaz says, does he not realise his voice is exactly the same and it's not really a disguise? Yeah, It would be quite a good fight if you called in with like a thick Irish accent or something, wouldn't it? Paula says you have to ignore the idiots or you legitimise them. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm trying to cut him short tonight. Definitely. But there you go. Oh, God. Mikey's saying, sir, I only want your opinion on the boxing, kid. Don't be ignorant, bruv. Jet says, don't be ignorant, sir. James says, give him one last chance to explain himself. Well, you know, I've tried to reason with him. I mean, before this whole thing kicked off, you know, on last week's live show, well before that happened, I actually sent the guy a private message because I felt a bit sorry for him. And the guy was contacting me fairly regularly. So I sent him a private message and I said to him, look, I know what you're doing. You're calling in under different names. Could you please stop it? And he insisted he wasn't calling in under different names. So I thought, okay, look, this guy's behaving slightly odd. I've caught him out calling in under different names. I've caught him out very definitely. I'm sure it's him, but he's insisting it's not him. What I'll maybe do is just hope he doesn't call in under different names again and learns his lesson. But he hasn't. So that's why I called him out on it last week. So there you go. There you go. That's the situation. I mean, since then, yeah, I honestly would say I reckon 60% he's not very well, 40% he's a troll. So in the interest of not wanting to mess around with someone who isn't very well, I'm going to block him on every form I can and not give him much time when he does call in. Also making some extremely unpleasant comments in the chat last week, which I don't really want to be associated with either. So I'm just going to try and block him and see where we go from there. But anyway, Jet says, wow, Tom, those biceps showing off a bit there, are we? Did I? Yeah. Right. Roughmas, feel free to call in, mate. Please don't call in if it's going to cause you upset, but I'll be nice to you, I promise. Callum B says, Blackwell, retired. He's a warrior. Thanks for all the fights, champ. Yeah. Fair play to Nick Blackwell. Alex is saying Roughmas should call in. Roughmas says he wants to, but he'll sound like a dick. Well, Roughmas, I'd say don't overcomplicate it, mate. If you want to call in, call in. Very, very happily have you on. If you don't want to call in, also feel free not to. But if you do, don't worry, I won't give you the John Smith treatment. I'll be nice. Mikey says it's such a shame. He could be spending his time much more effectively. Dave says don't worry about it. Paula says, any thoughts on White? I feel he needs to drop down the whole AJ rematch and make his own path. Yeah, I completely agree, Paula. Completely agree. Dillian White is a good fighter. So much to work on. So much to work on. The jab, his conditioning, his defense, the straightness of his punches. You know, there's so many basics for him to work on. He does not need to be going straight into a big fight. He needs to not worry about the money, build himself up, 2 or 3 learning fights, you know, going late in fights. I mean, he'd never been late in a fight before. He got taken late by AJ and he struggled. He needs those key fights, and it may be better if he was to sign with a promoter. Let's have a look. Mikey said he saw on Facebook Eubank Saunders is close to being agreed. I've heard that. That's the rumour. It would be amazing if true. Yeah, Eubank has spoke to Blackwell on Twitter today. They were just exchanging pleasantries. I think Eubank wants to meet him. Mikey, yes. Lewis really likes Dillian. Roughmas says Eubank Saunders for the summer. Dave says Dillian White good, needs to be in better shape on conditioning. Lewis says he's conditioned. His conditioning is the main issue. Peter says, Tom, do you think the real reason Billy Joe is injured is to make way for the Eubank fight? Is foreseeable, yeah. Gaz says, I think I heard that guy call in, but it was a legit call a while back. Yeah, he did. That was how it started, Gaz. He was initially calling in legit, but then he started calling in under different names. It was very odd. Boxing enthusiast said Warren should sign White. Mikey says Warrington could beat, White could beat Cornish or Allen. Yeah. And Escobete says, when to expect your Wade Triple G analysis? Back end of this week, Thursday night, Friday night, that sort of time period. I just haven't looked into to Wade as much as I could have. Dave says, Eubank Saunders, Master's calling in. Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
Oh, it's you, is it, Ralph Musk? How are you getting on?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that troll earlier, mate. So it's good to have a bit of fresh air, isn't it?
It certainly is. It certainly is.
Yeah, so it's about time. So how are you, and what did you think about the fights?
Oh, I'm very good, thank you. I'm very good. It was a very good performance from him, I thought.
Yeah, body shots were incredible.
Yeah, no, it really was. It really was.
So Lou DeBella said that he would absolutely bet his house on Errol Spence beating Pacquiao. What do you think?
I think Pacquiao's a big step up.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think the angles, the footwork, the experience would be a bit too much for Errol Spence, even though Errol Spence is really good.
Yeah. No, he's a good fighter, isn't he?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, who do you think Kell Brook's going to fight next?
I don't really know, to be honest.
Yeah, he needs to step up his level of competition, really, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Be good to see him against a better name.
Yeah, because he's got the potential to do so. Timothy Bradley, Keith Thurman, all these guys that he's got a chance of beating. He doesn't fight any of them.
Are you on webcam, Rough Moss?
I'm a fan of your channel, obviously.
No, I said, are you on webcam?
I know. I'm just talking to you.
So he's obviously... Oh, dear. Oh, dear. It's getting frustrating now. Do you know what? For a second, I actually thought that was the real Rough Moss, but... the problem. It's difficult. It's difficult because what do? I either have to stop taking Skype calls or stop letting new people add me on Skype. So he was obviously just watching in the Skype. I mean, I just don't know how to stop it. That's the problem. Okay, I've deleted the fake Rough Moss from the chat from my Skype, and I just won't be adding any new Skype callers, unfortunately, which is a real shame because it will stop me from expanding the show anymore. But what can you do? What can you do? Callum says he reckons it's Terence Trump. I actually don't think so. Terence Trump is well, I'm not going to say he's more sophisticated in his humour, but yeah. Jet says he must be seriously bored. He's made an account based on someone else in the chat. Callum says he sees him trolling all the boxing podcast comments that I go on. I didn't know that, actually. It's getting very weird, and it was funny, but yeah, it's not good viewing, is it? And the guy's just a bit awkward. So yeah, that would be it. I won't be taking any new Skype callers, and yeah, this guy should have some self-respect. I think basically he's humiliating himself. Yeah, so I'm going to try and block Dale on YouTube as well, and I suppose he's not doing anything technically wrong, is he? He's just being very, very strange. But there you go. There you go. Peter said, would it be seriously funny if someone rang in sounded exactly like him? This is it, wouldn't it? I mean, this is completely it. I never want to cut people off instantaneously just in case I've got people wrong. Escobeat says, that's unfortunate. Jet says he's downright weird. Sloso says, what just happened? Was that a troll? I've come in late. Yeah, it's the same guy calling in 3 or 4 times. Tom says, make them show their face, otherwise you don't talk. Yeah, we could go with that. We could go with that. But then again, I don't want people to force people on camera if they don't want to be on camera. I mean, certain people want to be anonymous. You know, they can be anonymous. But Jess says, Tom, call me after this, so I've got an idea. Callum says, Groves versus Smith nearly done. What's your prediction? Smith by second round KO. I'll try with Groves at the minute. I'll try with Groves. No, Rothmas, if you want to call in, just send me a private message. We'll agree a name. We'll agree a name for you to add me on Skype under. Or I'll add you on Skype, actually. If you want to just send me your Skype details, I'll add you. And then we'll do it that way. But yeah, I think Groves might find a gap in the Callum Smith defences. Alex says it's pathetic now. A joke at first, but stupid. Escobeat says, to be fair, he's called in about as many times as Jet and your other regulars. Yeah, but not probably called in as many times as Jet, but not in the same show. Mikey says, Groves peppers in with jabs all night. And I think that's the key. You know, Groves has got one of the best jabs in Britain. Callum Smith is very upright, no head movement whatsoever. And that's the problem. Peter Kearns says, if I ring in, I'll be tempted to call you sir, I've got to admit. Tom says, can I call in one day? I added you last week. Yeah, if you added me last week, Tom, you're safe. You're safe. You've made the list if you've added me last week, definitely. The problem is not going to be able to take new people, which is a shame. Callum B says, you're mad. Groves is done. I actually thought Groves looked really good last time out, admittedly against a lower level of opposition. But, you know, Groves is an interesting fighter. He's a frustrating fighter, but he's got some talent. Yeah, Jet, I'll give you a shout, mate. Definitely. Let's have a look. Jet says Groves wins. Escobeat says Groves wins. Mikey says he looks rejuvenated under McGuigan. I'm not the only one then. I thought people would be behind Smith. Callum says, have you not seen him recently? I thought he was very smart behind the jab, Callum, I must say. Alex says, all I can say is keep it up, mate. Once this idiot's out of the way, it's back to boxing. I'm out, people. Have a good evening. Cheers, Alex. Appreciate the support, mate. Hope you're good. Cool. Guys, we've been rocking and rolling for an hour 40. I'm worn out. Got an early start with work tomorrow. Slightly annoyed about Mr. Smith's intrusion to the live show again, but I'll get over it. I won't lose too much sleep over it. But it is a shame that it's going to pretty much stop me from adding new Skype callers. But yeah, if you're someone on my Facebook or someone on my Twitter, you can always message me your details and I'll add you. So there we go. Ruben says he had Smith beating Groves. He did before Brophy, but I still do, I think. Callum says Brophy rocked him. Anyway, guys, I'm out. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. YouTube says, can't you just cut out the call as soon as you hear his voice? I can. Well, I've given him less than a minute on each of his 3 calls tonight, but I guess you've got to make sure it's him. So there we go. Anyway, guys, I'm out. I am worn out. Had enough of John Smith for my evening. So thanks to everyone who's watched. Really appreciate it. Cheers for everyone who's commented in the chat, got involved. Cheers for everyone who's called in legitimately. Dave, really good to speak to you. Jet, great to speak to you. Tom, you know, good to speak to you very much, as always. So yeah, no, that was good. That was good. I've had an ad on Skype from somebody who has got a name of someone in the chat. So if that is you, can you just drop me, you know who you are, if that's you, can you just drop me a quick line on Facebook just to let me know that it's you, and then I'll add you on Skype. Yeah, I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks to everyone who said yes, and yeah, I'll catch you all soon. Have a good evening, guys. Cheers. Bye now.